Dear friends, I'd like to welcome you to episode 8 of Data Science Live. My name is Mr. Campanell, and I will be doing some live coding with the R programming language. I will enjoy a little bit of mukbang. I got a special today is linguine with white clam sauce, and hopefully provide a little bit of companionship for the next 20 minutes. I'm going to keep it about 20 some minutes this time. I went over to about 33 on the last episode, which I thought was probably a little bit too long. So that being said, tonight's episode, I've got a new data set that we're going to be working with. That data set is from the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, UNFAO. And I do want to just kind of pull it up here to just kind of show you the website where I got the data. Again, FAO.org. I'm just going to throw it here in the chat. And the nice thing that I'm just kind of pulling it up here, I really like this site for pulling data for any type of projects. It's got a lot of data sets, and it's got a really nice interface to query your data and pull down a data set. So I've got agriculture production, all the inputs. We've got data about agricultural emissions and land use, any agricultural investment, trade data, food balance data, food security data, price data, and then environmental indicators, and then some macro statistics, and even forestry. So it's got a lot of stuff on here. And what I'm pulling in is some data from a competition that I did a few years ago. It was a data science competition, and I analyzed hog farming in three kind of major markets, and that is the United States, mainland China, and the European Union. So I'm just kind of going to go over here on this interface here and just kind of show you a little bit about how I pulled the data. So I went by countries. So we start with China, and I went with mainland China. I took the United States. So we're going to scroll down here for United States of America. And you can see over here, it's pulling up your selections. And then for European Union, they had them all kind of grouped together. So these were all the countries. Then I went to pull down meat, and we went to pig meat, I believe it's here. Yeah, meat pig right there. And then I just kind of got all the data here that they were putting out here, and then select all for all the years. So it's a really great data set. It starts at 1961. You've got a lot of data to come through, and then you just hit your download data button. But today, before we get started, before we get started, I want to loosen my tie up here, and then we will get started here. So today, in episode 1, I showed you how to read data in that's from a web URL. And that's what we're going to do today. But instead of I downloaded all this data that we're going to use, and I put it up on my website, datasciencelive.com, and then that's where we're going to read it from. So I'm just going to copy and paste these and just put these into the chat for you if you want to be able to get them and kind of go along with what I did, with what I'm doing right now. So put these in the chat. So these are kind of the data sets that I put up online, and I'm ready to get started. So we're going to be using two libraries, I think. We're going to be doing dplyr. Okay, multiplier, and we're going to be doing readr. So I'm just going to run these little things, bring them in. Okay, so I got the libraries in, and now we're going to read in our data sets. So I'm just going to take these that I copied here, and we're going to start with our production data set. And I'm just going to see if this actually works here. And we'll take a look at the data if it really does. Yeah, it looks like it works. So I've got 522 observations, 15 variables. Let's just kind of pull it up and take a look at it. So you see the country here. It's named as area. We're doing livestock. What else we have in here? The item is meat, pig, and we go through year. We have these different elements here, and we have some data description. So that's this data set here, and let's pull in the consumption data set next. So I'm just going to go here and copy and paste. And we'll read this in. Okay, that pulled in with 159 observations and 14 variables. So I'm just going to pull that up and we'll take a look at it. So food supply, livestock and fish, mainland China, food supply kilograms per capita per year. Okay, so this is kind of the statistic that I'm going to be looking for. The item is pig meat. It is in kilograms, and these are our values. I think it's kilograms per capita per year is it, and it'll tell you kind of how the data type is. So this is the data set for the consumption that we're going to do. So that's kind of where I'm at we got our data sets pulled in. Now, in order to join these together, what I really want to do is we're going to be joining them by country, and we're going to join them by year. Now, as we see in here, the country, we have it in consumption, but it's called area in the production data set. So we're going to have to make some changes on that. So let's kind of go and do like a few little things that we learned from some of the previous episodes in I think that what we're going to do is we're going to be renaming, and we're going to be selecting our columns that we want to bring in here. So I'm going to call this data set, let's call this, bringing in the, we're going to reduce the data. And so we're going to filter, I think we're going to filter, let's see, I think we might have to do this. Well, let's give it a try. So head, reduce, and let's see, we're going to take, oh, no. I want to get, I'm going to just call this, we'll call this head reduce, and I want to take the production data set, production, and we're going to filter this one. That's what we're going to do today. So we're going to filter, and I want to use the unit. We're going to use heads for production, not tons, and I'm not sure what HG per N is. I'd have to take a look at the notes. But we're going to use head. That's a kind of a good term for production metric that I think everybody can understand. So say filter, and we're going to say unit equals head. Okay. And let's see, we'll head reduce. take a look at our data. I want to take a look and see our value. Our value is head all across, up and down here. Okay, so we're able to filter that. We went from 522 observations down to 174. Okay, now I just want to kind of select the columns in here that I'm really going to be using just to make it a little bit more manageable for myself. So we're just going to call this head. That's all. Okay, and head is head reduce. Okay, and the fields that I want to select it on are select. I think I want to do, let me just put this down here. Head reduce. I want to do area. We're going to select on area. We want to do year. We want to do unit. We want to do value. And I think I want to keep the flag description. And because it has spaces in the name, I have to put some backticks on here. Flag. So I'm just going to run this right now the way it is. Let's take a look at it. So 174 and 5 variables. Okay, so it's looking a little bit more manageable here. All right, that does look good, like the way I wanted it to be. But because we're going to be joining data sets, I want to make sure that the columns that we join all have the same names. So I'm going to be doing some renaming here. And we're going to rename, and we're going to try to, let's see, we're going to rename, what are we going to do? We're going to call it region. I think that's going to be equal to area. Okay, and then we're going to call production unit to equal value. And let's call production description to equal, we're going to call that flag description. Let's see if we got these all renamed. It's looking good. Okay, we'll pull that up again. Okay, so we've got them all renamed. So region and year are going to be the columns that we're going to be doing, we're going to be joining the consumption data set with. And I renamed these here because I want to bring in, I want to identify that it's a production unit, a production value, and production description, so that they're from the production data set. So that's why I gave them those renames. So we're good on that data set. So let's start with consumption, and let's just kind of pretty much do the same thing on consumption. We don't need to do any filtering on it. We just really need to do kind of the same thing that we did with the pig head. We just need to select our units and then select our columns and then rename them. So let's call this consumption reduce. I'm just going to reduce these, which means I'm just going to reduce the number of variables on here. So I'll call this consumption reduce. And we're taking consumption. And then we're going to select, I'm going to come down here and see what I want to select on here. I want to select country. I want to select year. Do we have year in here? Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have year. I'm sorry, I didn't see. Year, unit, value, and right, flag description. Kind of the same things. And then I want to just rename these again. So I'm going to rename them. Rename. We're going to call it region. Region equals country. Because, right, it's a little different. And then we're going to call consumption unit equals unit. Consumption value equals value. And then equals flag description. Okay. And going to run this thing here. And see what we got here. 159 and 5. So, okay, so we've reduced the number of variables in here. And now I'm about ready to get started on doing the join. And there's two joins that we're going to do here today. We're going to do an inner join, and we're going to do something called an anti-join. And so the inner join is we're going to join these two data sets together on, we have it here, region and year. And then the anti-join is we're going to take a look and see what records did not actually join in there and see if that makes sense for us. So we're going to start to join records. Okay, and let's join. Okay, so we're going to call this, we're just going to call this big prod consumption. And we're going to do an inner join. And I'm going to join, what do I have here? I'm going to join head. And then I'm going to join consumption reduce. And we're going to join it by region and year. So this is the statement that I'm going to use to join the records. Region and year are the same for both of them, and we should carry over all the unit, the value, and descriptions with the sources where they're from. So I'm going to run this command. Okay, so I've got 159 observations and 8 variables. So let's take a look at this. And we see we've got our region, our year, and then our units for production, our units for consumption, and the values in the description. So I've got everything in this data set. I've got 159 records because that matches the 159 records that we have in consumption reduce. So what we're looking at here, so the head has 174. So there's some records that were in this head data frame that are not in the production. So I'd kind of like to see why, which records those were, because this is the data set, if I wanted to put these together, that I'm going to be working with. So we're going to do the we're going to look for kind of the what do I want to say? I hate to say this, non-join records, but when I'm live and I'm stuck on a term, that's what just pops into my head. So we're going to say not joined. Okay. And so we're going to run the anti-join, and we're going to do it I believe it's the same way. So I'm just going to copy this, post it in here. So you want to put the records, the first data frame that you want to put in here is heads, because that has the 174 records in there. There's records in here that did not match on the consumption reduce, and those are the ones that we really want to take a look at. So I'm going to run this, and we're going to take a look. So we got 15 records here, and what didn't join? So 20 from 2014 through 2018 for China, US, and Europe. So yeah, so that kind of makes sense, because I think if we take a look down here, I'm going to say max of, what are we going to do? What was the one we did? Pig, prod consumption, $, year. Okay, let's see. 2013. Okay, so 2013 was the last record that we had in our consumption data, that's right, is that our consumption? Yeah, in our consumption data frame. And the records that were in our production that went to 2018 just didn't get joined, because we didn't have the years for that consumption data. So that is kind of where we're at right now. This is kind of done with what we wanted to do. The one thing that I do want to talk about here that's really important, and it's really important with joins, is you want to pay attention to the number of observations that those joins make. You want to take a look at your data to see if it makes sense. Probably the biggest source of errors in data science comes from not joining the data frames correctly. And I know that I've made numerous errors like this over my career. So this is, and you're not going to get error messages saying that, oh, you didn't join your data logically, right? It's just going to, if it can join it, it's going to join it, and it's up to you to really verify whether or not that data makes sense. So, to me, this is a really important episode, and I want you to really kind of pay attention to joining and kind of learn how it works, and pull up the documentation in dplyr for these join methods, inner join and anti join, and go a little bit deeper on it. So I'm going to give you time to kind of work on this. It's mukbang segment today, and today I've got something that is a Italian-American specialty right here. I'm going to bring it up if I can show it to you. This is linguine with white clam sauce. It is it's a kind of a unique flavor if you like clams. It has white wine. It's got olive oil, garlic, put a little bit of cream in here. But it's a white sauce. It's really fast. It's really easy to make. If you've got the ingredients in your pantry, it's something you can whip up. Really, it just takes 5 minutes to make the sauce, and you're good. So I'm going to chow down here for a little bit, and then we'll be back with the wrap up. So I hope you had an opportunity to try a little bit of this on your own here. Um, this is the this is the really the I won't call it the king, but it's really important. I can't emphasize it enough on joining data frames, and this is something that's going to take a lot of practice and a lot of experience to really get good at it. So that's our episode for today. The one thing I do is I want to give some shout outs to my the new followers on Twitch. So Bo Armstrong, I'd like to thank you for subscribing to the channel on Twitch. Merswitch, Jay Ronka, and Deadly Jiggly. So thank you for subscribing this week to the Data Science Live on Twitch. I am on Twitch. I'm also on Mixer. I'm also live on LinkedIn and live on YouTube. So every Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you can have an opportunity to watch me hack my way through some live bar coding, and it's sometimes a challenge. Okay, so I hope you learned a little bit here. I will post the blog on datasciencelive.com. So, keep trying to copy and paste here. It's how I learned. It's how you can learn too, by practicing by example. Please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications for when I go live. I appreciate your companionship with me here today. Until the next cast, goodbye for now, dear friends.